God in the ICU. Read by the author, Dave Walker. Chapter 1. A Sense of Destiny. "Hey God, can you hear me?" The shrill, triumphant voice of a 6-year-old boy pierced the morning air from a treetop. I had climbed to the summit of the jacaranda tree in our garden and was savouring the victory. The ground was dizzyingly far below me, and I felt sure that the top of the world could not be far off. And, of course, I was close to heaven, and therefore close to God. I do not think that there was ever a time in my life when I doubted the existence of God. I remember at the questioning age of adolescence, when one thinks about things more intently and questions everything. I was at a camp in the Zimbabwean bush. I had looked around at the flat-topped thorn trees providing shade for our tents, and the tall bauhinias whose leaves fluttered in the wind like butterflies. I had listened to the cuck-curr of the doves overhead, and seen a timid bushbuck dart through our camp. I had observed the sensitive, complex ecosystem, everything designed to harmonize and sustain life in a slow, purposeful rhythm of seasons. And I had settled the question once and for all. This could not have happened by accident. God was there. This is the tale of how he took my hand and led me down the path appointed for me, to show me the way in which he responds to our prayers, and demonstrates his love in all manner of situations. The story starts in 1940 in a simply furnished prefabricated house nestled, with 4 others like it, amongst the masasa trees and tawny grass in a remote part of Zimbabwe overlooking the Umnyati River. It was home to the engineer who supervised the power station. His young wife was looking anxiously at their newborn baby. He had not been well for 2 days, but today he looked worse. Instead of crying fretfully, he was drowsy and listless, and could not take the breast. She glanced at her husband beside her. "We need to get him to the hospital, Jack. I'm worried." It was a 3-hour bumpy ride in their old truck along a bush track to Kwekwe, the nearest town, and to the anxious parents each minute crawled by as their child lay still and pale beside them. They rushed into the casualty department, anxiously presenting the little bundle to the staff. After his examination, the doctor was abrupt. "Why did you leave it so late? Your baby has malaria. There's no chance to save him now. He's going to die." Without even sterilizing the skin, he plunged a needle into the little buttock, administering a massive dose of quinine, more as a token of treatment than with any true hope. In anguish and guilt after the doctor's comment, the mother and father kept an anxious all-night vigil over their baby. Remarkably, the next day he had improved, and although he developed an abscess from the quinine injection and pneumonia as a complication, he survived. That was my introduction into the world. When I was old enough to understand and heard them recall the story, it engendered in me a sense of destiny. God had spared me for a purpose. From the age of 7, I knew I wanted to fulfill that destiny in the field of medicine, and everything was assessed in terms of how it would help me to become a doctor. I devoured stories of doctors of compassion such as Dr. Paul Brand, a Christian surgeon who worked among lepers, transforming their lives by making groundbreaking discoveries of the cause of their deformities and devising operations to counter their disabilities. I thrilled to tales of humanitarians such as Albert Schweitzer, a famous musician, who then studied medicine and went on to found a mission station in La Varenne, in the former French Equatorial Africa, now Gabon. And Taylor Caldwell's Dear and Glorious Physician, a novel about St. Luke, the doctor-disciple of Jesus, set my heart aflame as I dreamed romantically of the healing role I could play in society. I somehow never doubted that I would be accepted for medical school, but it was nevertheless a thrill as I set off on a 3-day car journey from Zimbabwe to the University of Cape Town. My time at medical school came at a pivotal time in South Africa.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?